Pixel 4 XL, have you seen a phone with more controversy? I mean, all the leaks leading up to its release. It doesn't have a wide-angle lens. It doesn't shoot 60 FPS at 4K. It unlocks if it's unlocked. It unlocks if you just glance at it. It unlocks with your eyes closed. But I'll tell you what, I put this camera through its paces last weekend, right up against this Sony A7 III that I'm shooting this video on. This little camera is stellar. We're gonna look at some photo comparisons between the two. I'm gonna show you its strengths, its weaknesses, what I love about it, what I don't love about it, and we're gonna talk about whether or not you should get one for yourself, especially if you're an Android user, and with all the deals coming up on Black Friday and Tech Monday and then Christmas. By the end of this video, you'll have those answers and more. So let's roll the intro and get into it. First of all, welcome. I'm James Lavish. I do photography, tutorials, insights, and reviews. So if that sounds interesting to you, consider hitting the subscribe button. It'd be super appreciated. Okay, let's get to the camera, shall we? First of all, this thing's taken a pretty bum rap right out of the gates. I mean, I know it has big bezels on the top and the bottom, and it's like 2017 all over again. Yeah, the battery's small, doesn't shoot 60 FPS at 4K, and yeah, I'd love to have a wide-angle lens on it. But as a photographer, I can put a lot of those things aside just to have a phone that takes awesome photos no matter where I am and what the situation is. And with all the advancements and with computational imaging, these are getting pretty darn amazing. If you don't know what computational imaging is, it's basically the phone taking a whole bunch of photos and then using sophisticated algorithms to put those together and choose which part of the image should be light and which part of the image should be dark, which should be in focus, which shouldn't be in focus. It's pretty amazing stuff, and I'm super impressed with how the Pixel 4 handles that. But the real question is, can I leave the house for an event, especially a family event, something that I want to have good photos of, some memories, and not have to take my big camera with me? That's where this little guy comes in. And I gotta tell you, I'm thinking twice about it now. If you're new here, you can check out my work at James Lavish on Instagram or on my website, jameslavish.com. I'll link them both below. Okay, let's put some photos from these two cameras head to head and do a little comparison. I think you're gonna be pretty surprised at what this camera can do. First of all, sincere thank you to my wife for being so patient with me and being our model today for these photos. On this one right here, she's sitting on the sofa and this lighting was not that great and the windows are pretty blown out in the background. It was a pretty solid dynamic range test right off the bat. But you can see here that the Pixel handled it pretty well. I mean, I basically didn't touch this photo at all, except maybe adjust the white balance a bit. Honestly, I'm super impressed here. An interesting note though on the depth of field, check out the buildings through the window. See how the Pixel used a computational algorithm to create some blurriness in the background, or some fake bokeh if you will. The Sony was shot at f2.8 and you can see a gradual but not a dramatic drop off in focus, and the Pixel seemed to figure out those buildings were far off and blurred them in that window pane completely. But you can see that one stripe of window pane right above her head is blurry, and so it kind of stands out from the rest of the window itself, and the Pixel kind of missed that. Honestly, I'm still super impressed here. The color is great. There's no real grain. It's a pretty solid photo, and I'd be very happy if this was what I came home with. Okay, in this next photo, I mean, I put her in some pretty bad lighting, but check out the high contrast situation here. Honestly, I barely adjusted the Pixel photo. Though the Sony could handle the range a bit better, you can see the soft graduation from light to dark on her face, and of course allows for much more leeway with a RAW file. Still though, the computational imaging did a phenomenal job here in my opinion. I mean, the colors, the dynamic range handling, it's just amazing. Again, if this is what I came away with and I didn't have my full frame camera with me, I'd be pretty happy. Okay, another one of our model, this one outside at night. But look at the difference in not just the white balance, but the overall brightness of the Pixel. Almost as if it was taken in the middle of the day. I mean, even with the ISO so low, the computational imaging of the Pixel managed to create a much brighter image, and hence it produced a cleaner image, but it's not too accurate. I mean, I could have brought up the brightness of the Sony in post, but I was already pushing it and that would have made the image even noisier. Anyway, all that said, I still like the Sony better overall, just for the feel and the honesty of it. I think this is a situation where the computational imaging kind of went overboard, and I am seeing this a bit with the Pixel where it really brightens those night images up, but it's not representative of what I was seeing at the time. Okay, now for some trickier landscape and cityscape photos, and we'll check out that zoom lens capability that Google was bragging about. First, are you guys already Android users, or are you iPhone users or Samsung? Samsung and thinking about switching over? Or are you originally Pixel users and you're thinking about upgrading? Drop a comment below and let me know what phones you guys are using and whether you're considering getting this one for yourself. And if you're new to Sony or you're thinking about switching to Sony, I'm doing a video about my 3 favorite lenses called the Holy Trinity, and it should be out in the next few weeks. So hit the subscribe button and the notification bell and you'll know exactly when it comes out. Okay, now for the last few photos, and we're gonna see exactly what this thing can do and how good this zoom lens is. Okay, so check out this photo. I was walking down the street and I saw the moon just starting to rise over those trees. And so I grabbed both the cameras and took some shots real quick. It was a super tricky photo, this one. It was right at dusk and those trees were pretty dark, so I pushed both these little cameras hard here. And you can see here that that Pixel handled the moon pretty well too, keeping it from getting blown out. Overall, I think the Sony handled the moon a little bit better and you have more detail there. But even with the dynamic range of the Sony in a raw file, it was still pushing it to the limit to get that moon. If I was doing this professionally, I would have definitely put it on a tripod and then I could have taken 2 quick exposures and composited them, but that's not really what this test is about. This is about just having a camera on you and being able to get the best photo you can in any situation. Okay, here's another tricky photo. I did this handheld on purpose. Again, no tripod. And I have to admit that Pixel did an amazing job again. The ISO was forced higher in the Sony, and no surprise, I had to leave the shutter at 1/60th to prevent camera shake. But you could see all that noise in the background behind those buildings. And even though the lights are cleaner on the Sony, that background is really noisy. And you can see how it struggled with those colors. Whereas with the Pixel, though overall, in my opinion, the photo came up a little bright, those building lights are really highlighted. But again, it did a pretty decent job. And so handheld, I gotta admit, this Pixel is pretty amazing. I kind of wish I could have the lights from the Sony and the background and noise reduction from the Pixel, but maybe that's what we're gonna see in the future. Maybe we'll have the Sonys and the Nikons and the Canons of the world start using computational imaging and getting to a photo that would look more like a blend of these two. Okay, now for the zoom test. Okay, here's a quick reference shot here just to see how far away we were. So in order to get a similar zoom out of the Sony, I had to put it on APC mode, which equates to a 1.5 times zoom. And then I put on clear image zoom, which is a digital software zoom, which adds another 2x, which makes the Sony about 210 millimeters here. I'll do a video on the clear image zoom itself on another date, but here you go. I mean, look at the chromatic aberration on the Sony. It really struggled with its own software and the clear image zoom. And honestly, you can see it didn't do a very good job. We could clean up a lot of that in Photoshop or in Lightroom, but look at that Pixel image. It is so clean. I mean, it's sharp. There's nothing blown out. It's got really solid dynamic range here. I have to admit, Google nailed the zoom with this phone. I mean, this is incredible. I'd say if you have kids and they do theater or sports, this could come in really handy. Though I'm not sure how great it would handle a fast shutter situation, because if you look at the metadata that I've included here, you can see that this is taken at 1/143rd of a second. And so if you have kids moving in sports and they're far away on a soccer field or something, it's gonna be blurry. In any case, if you're in a situation that you want to telephoto shot, you can see this thing can really handle it well. It's incredible. I mean, I'm almost shocked at just how good this is. It's insane. Another thing is look at the sky. I mean, it's real nice blue sky up there. The colors were handled just so well. I mean, you can see the lights inside the building in that office up there on the right-hand side. This is just truly amazing. I'm beyond super impressed. Okay, so now the question is, should you buy this phone? I would say if you're an Android user and a photographer, absolutely. This is the best phone camera on the market from what I can tell, and what you may lose without a wide-angle lens, you gain a lot in ability and quality. I can't wait to see what kind of Milky Way shots we get with this once it comes back into the hemisphere. Too bad Google has a fall announcement, but I'm looking forward to that. But if you're a videographer or a vlogger and you're looking for a phone to mainly video or vlog with, I would say go check out the iPhone 11. I mean, the video on that phone is so good it's not even worth comparing it to this one. If I were an iPhone user, I wouldn't switch. I mean, what I lose from the zoom lens on this one, I gain with the wide angle lens on the iPhone. To me, there would be no reason to switch. I would stick with the iPhone. That said, I've been a Pixel user. I like the Google experience, so I'm happy with this phone and I'm really happy with this camera. Okay, I hope that answers all the questions and helps you make a decision if you're a photographer and you're looking at this phone for that reason, or if you're a Pixel user and you're looking to upgrade. And let me know your decision in the comments below. I wanna know what phones you guys end up getting. Okay, that's it. If you like this video, please hit the like button as it really does help. And if you would subscribe, it'd be super appreciated. And I'll see you in the next video.